Let's get a check of the top business news stories. Our business editor, Kate Moody's here. Hi there, Kate.
Hi, Tom.
Now, the US Federal Reserve has raised interest rates for the 10th time in a row.
Yeah, this is coming as expected. It is the third consecutive quarter percentage point move and possibly the last for a little while. The widely expected hike takes the key lending rate to between 5 and 5.25%. That's the highest level for the Fed since August of 2007. Now, the central bank is facing pressure to slow or end its monetary tightening, and its official statement removed references to future hikes. Inflation has fallen to 5%. That's still more than double the Fed's 2% target. And the bank says it's committed to the dual mandate of ensuring price stability as well as maximum employment. But the rapid pace of interest rate hikes over the last year has played a role in the recent collapse of a number of regional banks. And Fed Chair Jerome Powell has been facing questions about the Fed's role in that ongoing turmoil. Take a listen.
Conditions in that sector have broadly improved since early March, and the U.S. banking system is sound and resilient. We will continue to monitor conditions in the sector. We're committed to learning the right lessons from this episode, and will work to prevent events like these from happening again. I think banks themselves many banks are now are attending to liquidity and taking opportunity now, really since the events of early March, to build liquidity.
Jerome Powell speaking a little bit earlier there. Well, unemployment in the Eurozone has fallen to a record low of 6.5%. That reading had stagnated at 6.7 or 6.6 for the last year or so, but new data show a slight decrease in the number of people seeking jobs in the month of March, just over 11 million people across the 20-member bloc. The youth unemployment rate also edged down to 14.3%. Spain, Italy, and France reported the highest jobless rates, ranging from 12.8 to 6.9%, respectively. The European Central Bank is widely expected to announce yet another interest rate hike on Thursday in an effort to control inflation, but the tight labor market will add to an already complicated calculation for European policymakers. The World Bank has officially elected a new president. Ajay Banga, the only nominee, has been confirmed by the executive board as the 14th president of the World Bank Group. He replaces David Malpass, who stepped down a year before the end of his 5-year term. The 63-year-old Banga is a former president and CEO of MasterCard. Like all his predecessors, he is an American citizen, but was born in India and naturalized in 2007. Banga will be tasked with implementing reforms at the World Bank and, in particular, shifting its focus to helping developing countries tackle climate change. Next, the Indian budget airline Go First has filed for bankruptcy and cancelled all flights for the next 3 days. The Wadia Group, which owns the carrier, says it's not planning to give up quite yet, but the bankruptcy filing underscores the stiff competition in India's aviation sector as post-pandemic demand for flights roars back. Karis Garland has more.
With their travel plans up in the air, passengers vent their frustration at New Delhi Airport. They were meant to fly with ultra-low-cost airline Go First, but the carrier cancelled 3 days of flights after filing for bankruptcy.
This is not fair at all, no?
I booked tickets 4 months ago to save money, and now they've been cancelled.
Now I'll have to pay extra for new tickets with a different airline.
In its bankruptcy filing on Tuesday, Go First blamed faulty Pratt & Whitney engines on its Airbus 320neo aircraft, forcing it to ground half its fleet, about 60 planes. The filing also revealed India's third-largest airline owes financial creditors more than 65 billion rupees, that's 722 million euros. Analysts say the bankruptcy may boost airfares and give other domestic airlines a higher market share.
We're going to have 8,000 people, 8,000 airline qualified resources without jobs, a reduction of 56 aircraft from the Indian register. So that would imply that the cost of travel is going to go up so high because it will be driven on supply and demand.
The collapse of the first Indian airline since Jet Airways in 2019 comes amid fierce competition in the sector. Two domestic carriers, Air India and Vistara, are set to merge by March next year. The CEO of Go First says the insolvency proceedings are aimed at reviving the airline and not selling it.
A U.S. court has cleared the way for Venezuela's most valuable foreign holding to be seized and sold off. Texas-based Citgo is the U.S. arm of Venezuela's state oil giant, whose creditors are seeking restitution in the wake of a $1.7 billion bond default. U.S. sanctions aimed at weakening the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro, and boosting the country's political opposition had been protecting Citgo, but that shield looks set to drop, as Brian Quinn explains.
Venezuela's top foreign asset on its way to being seized by creditors. The U.S. Treasury Department says it will no longer protect Citgo Petroleum from having its shares auctioned off to settle outstanding debt, a decision denounced by Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro.
With outrage, we reject and repudiate the theft of the company Citgo by the government of the United States and by the opposition United Platform of Venezuela.
Citgo is the U.S.-based operation of Venezuela's state-owned PDVSA oil company. Its American network of refineries, pipelines, and gas stations is worth an estimated $13 billion. Last year, it generated a record $2.8 billion in profits. In 2019, the Trump administration handed control of Citgo to Venezuela's political opposition, part of sanctions on the Maduro government. Till now, those sanctions have also blocked creditors from seizing Citgo assets in the wake of a default on $1.7 billion in PDVSA bonds backed by its Citgo stake as collateral. But with Venezuela's opposition now in disarray, its parallel government dissolved, its one-time leader Juan Guaido fled to the U.S., American officials appear ready to allow a forced sale, in particular to cover losses at bankrupt Canadian mining venture Crystalex. That sale is still likely months away as regulators examine details. It's also unlikely to cover all of Venezuela's defaulted bond debt, estimated at some $60 billion.
Tom, that's all for now.
Thank you very much indeed. Our business editor, Kate Moody. Thank you so much.